Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation on LivehiphopDaily.tv, sponsored by Fronto Republic brand. And I got my good friend, my guest, Stanley Atkins in the building. Stanley Atkins II, excuse me.
How's it going, everybody?
Now, y'all should know Stanley's been a familiar face around here. This is actually your third time on Cash Color Cannabis, man. So I've had you on. We've discussed plenty of stuff. And when this next thought popped in my mind, you was the first person I was like, yo, could Stanley be a good person to have this convo with? So recently, actually over the last couple of weeks, I've been having conversations about legalization. You know, like legalization of cannabis, watching it, whether or not it's going to come to Georgia. It's been in this state now. We heard it in Illinois, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I've also been hearing issues from people who sell in the black market. And from, I mean, literally, I had to take a poll. We're talking about from California to here. I'm listening to people discuss issues they're having with businesses they've been doing for years prior to any of these new laws and all this other stuff. So I wanted to get your opinion on legalization versus the black market and whether or not legalization is a super positive thing when it comes to, you know, saying like clearly we have people who are already on the scene doing shit. They were already skilled doing it, but now you can't necessarily do it without certain levels of shit you need to have in place. So I wanted to speak to you about that, like legalization versus the black market, and why is one more better than the other? Or why is legalization more of a better option than the black market?
That's a very good question, and people need to understand that with the expansion of the entire cannabis industry, each state that goes legal, it immediately affects the black market.
Yes.
Let's just say Georgia goes legal right now, and they have dispensaries everywhere.
Yeah.
What is it going to do to the black market? People are going to say, I don't want it in the sandwich bag anymore. I want it in this cool jar with a little label. I want it in a box. I want to go in there and be able to pick it out.
Yeah.
And once they make prices comparable, people are going to say, okay, I'm going to go here. But with legalization also comes taxation.
Yes.
And that taxation comes from the permits, the licenses, and the fees. Well, that money goes to something. The law enforcement, they get theirs too. Because what happens is that gives them something to enforce. I'm going to enforce your permits. We're going to go in. We're going to make sure everybody's regulated.
Yeah.
Make sure all these grows are regulated.
Yeah.
So oftentimes, a lot of the packs on the street come from those unregulated grows. So look at Prop 215, which California had,
yep.
And then they went to Proposition 64. So like I told everybody about a year ago, I was like, listen guys, I know y'all think it's just the cannabis wonderland out here. I say it's gonna shut down. All those $1,200 to $1,700 bags are gonna go to about $2,400. They like, what? No, listen, once they go fully legal, it's gonna drive up prices because they're gonna start really enforcing the unregulated entities. And you've seen all those videos where they've just spent millions of dollars in tax dollars with helicopters in the air,
burning down farms and shit.
They put about 200 law enforcement together from different jurisdictions and formed the amazing Cannabis Task Force. And then they went through California like Xerxes. Everybody that is unregulated, those 400 or 500 plant farms, those whole hillsides, they're gone, guys.
Yeah, they Thanos it.
A lot of that was coming to Metro Atlanta. It was going to Texas. It was going to New York. So what happens is the people you've been getting it from who've had it on this hillside since 1994, they now have nothing. Now they're facing felony charges. Their money's going to go to legal fees.
Yeah.
And also, you got to look at natural disasters as well. The California wildfires. You got to understand, those cannabis farms are burning up as well. And if we were looking for that harvest to pay for this year's permits, our fees, our equipment, and our overhead, we just lost it. There's no insurance on it. That drives it up on the black market. Because now it's forcing a lot of people to either get worse quality flower or better quality flower.
And that's actually something I ran into in Atlanta, you know, where that was literally my option. Like bro told me, he's like, bro, you're either gonna get really, really good shit or you're gonna get some super bad at this moment. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just what the fuck is going on, which has got us spurred into this whole conversation. Because I was just interested in that, you know, I'm really watching it affect people I know, you know what I'm saying, which is just bizarre to me. But another thing I'm watching right now and I wanted to get your opinion on was what could happen in Georgia. You know, we speak often about legalization. I don't know how close actual legalization would be in this state, but we have seen some growth, you know, saying even personally with our own two eyes. One thing I saw that kind of did spark my mind towards where we really going in Georgia was when I was heading down Edgewood to go chop up with one of my black market friends. You know what I'm saying? Just on some cool shit. And I'm walking down Edgewood and I get met by this big billboard. And if you know the billboard I'm talking about, if you're coming off the highway on the edge when you banging that right, you would have ran right into the same billboard I ran into, and it was a billboard for a CBD product. And I thought to myself, that's odd. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I'm seeing a billboard smack dab in the middle of Edgewood discussing CBD products. I remember my first thought, and I went to ask my man, who's a black market dude, what the fuck you know about CBD? So we started talking lightly, and he knew. And I said, bro, how many people around this area you think actually know about CBD? And he said probably very few, if anything. I said, so who's this billboard targeted to at this moment? Like, if nobody in this area really fully even knows and nobody's educating them about what's happening, why are there billboards popping up here? Just like, why are there weed map billboards going down Northside Drive? If people don't, you feel me? Like
I would say the reason it's positioned there is pretty strategic marketing, because you have one of the #1 teaching hospitals in the world on the side of the bridge.
True.
So you have a lot of students, you have a lot of educational personnel who come through, you have a lot of patients that come through. That's a perfect place to put it.
Yeah, and it's sparking a conversation, but I'm not sure it's sparking a conversation on the level I'm thinking of. You know what I'm saying? Because again, black market would be damned. That's going to eventually have to wash out. It just is what it is.
It'll always be there.
But we have people who are going to actually have to learn about what's happening around here. And I fear that that's a thing that's almost like flying past people. We're thinking more about legalization. We're thinking about how much you can smoke weed, but we're not thinking about anything else from CBD to just even basic laws that's being passed, why this billboard is here. You know what I'm saying? We're not thinking anything from on that level to me. And that bothers me.
And it's because we have to shift our level of thinking and what we're thinking about.
Yes.
You know, stop looking at the what and start looking at the why.
Yeah.
We know what you're smoking. Why are you smoking
Exactly.
it?
Why are you smoking it?
And when it comes to the legalities of it, you know, as you know, I do a lot of work down at the state capitol. It's boring. That's the boring side of it.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that's where all this comes from. So the reason with the CBD is booming like that is because Trump, with the federal hemp bill last
of course
year.
open
so
that up,
just pretty much opened up everybody. Grow your hemp, get your CBD. You don't have to grow full, you know, gas, as they say, to get CBD. You know, you just grow a strain of CBD that is of a lineage of those strains that they've got the THC percentage under 0.3% that qualifies for industrial hemp. That's why some of the quality of flower of hemp is the way it is. But as far as the state of Georgia, you know, that conversation came up this year a lot, you know, as we were working on our bill. Yeah. And just to say, literally, this is some of the words from the speakers of the House, you know, and they were saying the bill that they passed this year is in no way, form, or fashion pushing towards legalization in the state of Georgia. They wanted to make that clear. The Speaker of the House wanted to make that clear in the chambers that in no way, form, or fashion are they pushing towards smoking or having flower dispensaries. They do not. Georgia will potentially be one of the last states. If it goes legal federally, Georgia will be like, we'll go last.
Georgia and Mississippi.
I'm telling y'all from the inside of that gold dome, and I've seen some of your faces down at that gold dome, and I'm telling you from there, they've told you, listen, we don't want no part of it. It's because the stigma that's still associated with it. So Georgia, you don't want legalization, because if it goes legal, you're not going to be able to afford it. You think your eighths are going to be $40? Yeah. No, they got to pay for those permits.
Keep it funky. Y'all barely can afford it now because it's done jumped up $10 on the streets now. You know what I'm saying? So y'all are close to paying
when you look at
dispensary prices.
Because you got to have the state tax, the local tax, the cannabis law tax. Anybody who's shopped in Cali recently can tell you, you know, you get a half of some good flour, maybe a couple of dabs or something. You're about $320. Like quick.
You ever see one of them receipts from Cali? Yo, that shit.
I got some of them,
brother.
Like you look at the tax, like, wait a minute,
you start breaking it down.
$81 in tax.
You start breaking it down.
I feel like I should get something,
bro.
Some gummies or something.
A friend of mine that was in Massachusetts right now. She was having a serious complaint because I guess she couldn't actually buy from any place, and the person who she bought from had to jump up his prices. So she's like, I can't pay $60 for an eighth, and my face was like, for an eighth, the hell going on out here? And this is legal.
There is a thing that. Quality over quantity.
Oh, I believe in that.
I was in Boston,
I believe in that.
And I was at the Freedom Rally, and the guy was like, "Man, my eighths are $60. It's the best bud at the festival." Yeah. And when I looked at it, I didn't doubt it. Ask Ebony Knight; she'll tell you about the grapefruit. Yeah. She'll be like, "Yeah, it was amazing. It was worth every penny."
Yeah, I feel you, man. But shit, if you ain't got it, you ain't got it. But you know, again, that's my next question. Do you actually even feel sympathy for folks? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially dealers.
I don't want to say sympathy. I feel more so compassion. And it's not for the entrepreneurial aspects of it. It's for the patients in need.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes what happens with legalization, if they just have a medical program and you've been getting your RSO, your cancer oil, or whatever you need, you spend about $60 a week. You know, that gets you to the next week. It's enough to maintain for your disease process.
Yeah.
Well, once they go fully legal and they get rid of your medical program and it's all just a legal program, those same products may now be $65.
You thrown into the lump. Yeah.
And so what happens is, for some people, like, okay, this product went from $18 to $24. Get over it. For some patients on a fixed budget and fixed income, that's a lot of money to them. Yeah. And they need this medicine.
Yeah. And again, that bumping up at $10, it don't sound like a lot to most people. Like you pointed out a good fact. But that is, you know what I'm saying? Because there are some people who have to get their RSO through all kind of different means. You know what I'm saying? Because again, how expensive it would be anyway to go get it somewhere else. So yeah, you got to think on. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yo, isn't it legal medicinal here?
Yes, we do have a medical program.
I got in a car accident last year, right? And I went to the chiropractor today.
Did you call 1-800-PAIN?
They give me pills or whatever. I never take the pills, so just on some funny shit. He's like, yeah, you been taking the pills? I'm like, nah. I'm like, yo, can you prescribe me some cannabis? He was on the floor laughing. What should I say? Because it's legal here. So if I
tell him
to say for him to be like, oh, okay.
Tell him to get in touch with me. One thing that we're working on is educating the physicians, because there are physicians who've come to me just due to my experience as a paramedic. They're coming to me like, hey, Stanley, I heard you're into the cannabis now. Can you get me signed up? Because all they have to do is go to the Department of Public Health website, register to participate in the program, sign up. So that way when they come into the office, they sign them up right there in the program. You can print it out right there. The card comes in the mail. It's a very simple process. Each physician may have their own fees. You know, there's a lot of physicians writing recommendations, but a lot of physicians just need the education behind it. That's why we got a big plan. I got a lot in plan for y'all.
You know, speaking about the black market and people on the ground, the name Branson has popped up a lot, especially since Grass is Greener. I don't know if you've seen the documentary Grass is Greener, but Fab Five and actually speak about OG Branson up in Harlem. Me and Danny had a chance to actually go meet him. You know what I'm saying? About, what is it, 3 years ago now, 4 years ago? We had a chance to walk up in Harlem and go meet Branson. Branson's a genius. When it comes to moving weed, like in the 90s, from his packaging to his clientele to how safe he kept himself as he was doing this for almost 10, 20 years. He was way ahead of the curve. As we speak right now, though, you are a man with really no real background in cannabis, technically. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't actually get into the industry probably from certain ways that other people can get into the industry. But your skill set and what you did should actually warrant, you know what I'm saying, something. You know what I'm saying? When you think about people like Branson, do you feel like they could ever actually thrive in the legal market as they did in the black market? Like, do you think there's ever a real way they can cross over?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the key factors for that are going to be, what do you want more? You want these short-term gains, or you want to achieve those long-term goals? You know, that's up to the person.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to eventually disassociate yourself and apply that same tactic to the corporate market. So just replace your homie with a chief financial officer. Replace your homegirl who chop up the work with your executive assistant. Yeah. You know, and build the same way you build a corporation. Because I personally think that the black market guys who had those large scale operations are going to make the best CEOs in a few years.
I would hope so, because when I met Branson, one thing that blew my mind away from me was how nondescript this man was. Like, for somebody who I learned of you through Biggie, through Jadakiss, through Lil Wayne, like, people were literally throwing your name out there. Like, yo, I went to New York, got a box from Branson. He used to have these little purple boxes they would put the weed in. Like, he would deliver it like that. Like, they was coming up to you like that with the shits. Branson was so like laid back about the shit. Like, you could see how he survived so long. But I look at him now, and I was looking at him like, that's a brother who really should, like you say, you should be like a multi-millionaire in this. Like, before they even started passing these laws and started handing out accolades to people who ain't never did a damn thing really until y'all passed this law. Step to him and say, yo, so where do you see this going? Because clearly you had the idea back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you see this moving to?
Like how Gucci came back and
got Dapper Dan. That's what I'm saying. Like, who's going to do that? Because who's gonna do that? Like, who's gonna really like? It's cool to talk about Branson, but who's gonna reach back and be like, yo, let's get it busy? Like Wizards or them, or who's gonna reach back and say, let's get busy? You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, like he mentioned with Gucci and Dapper Dan.
Who's to say we can't?
I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there.
Contacts in the industry.
Look, we could do it. Yes.
Because
yes.
Another question.
Yes.
What's up with we could get in, they say, with the stock, like investing in stocks and all that. Do you have a particular company that we should fuck with?
Cash Color Cannabis.
now check it out. A lot of people don't like my answer to this question, but I don't ever tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. The number one stock you can invest in this industry where we are right now is the stock in the mirror. Because right now we're at a position.
Did y'all miss that?
Start.
Stock in a mirror.
That stock in the mirror.
Wait, we not selling no flowers.
Wait, he's about to get to it. He's about to get to the point.
You don't have to.
He's about to get to the point.
You don't ever have to touch the flower. You can invest. You can say, okay, a software company. Like, okay, they got all these CBD companies. They need somewhere to market it. You can say, okay, they got all these CBD companies. They need somebody to drop it off. They're gonna need somebody for payment processing. They're gonna need somebody for delivery services. They're gonna need somebody for inventory, IT services. They're gonna need somebody for quality control, inspector flower. Those are jobs right there. Those are companies you can start right there.
Ancillary businesses too. You don't
I
have.
started the Cannamedic, bro. I was a paramedic. And I was like, how can I, you know what? Take off Cannamedic.
Bro.
I created something that didn't exist and started a business. Believe in whatever you create.
Ancillary businesses is the thing that's gonna move this, bro. Like you can't spend your life waiting for a law to get passed that could get overturned. You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do in the meantime to make sure you not only are in this industry, but you can make it through it? You know what I'm saying? That's where, again, Cash Color Cannabis is that for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is I could do this wherever the hell I feel like doing it, and you ain't gonna stop me. You know what I'm saying? Like, freedom of speech, motherfucker, this is what I do.
But one of the strong markets, though, on the other side of things is the Canadian market. I do tell people to watch the Canadian market closely.
Watch Africa, too.
Watch the Australian market. There's a lot of trading going on. There's a lot of major companies purchasing a lot of major companies. I'm not going to drop any proprietary names, but one almost $1 billion company just acquired a $675 million company. That's a major merger. That's a major acquisition in the industry, and that just took place about 3 weeks ago. So there's a lot of money being moved around.
It's no lie. Like, I remember I had to interview Sean Dolinger. He was at one point the CEO of Namaste Technologies. They were eating up everything in Canada. Eating up everything. They was being nicknamed the Amazon of weed at one point. Like they were eating every company possible. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, pay attention to Canada because they got the money and they're building up the stuff and they're building up the infrastructure. The businesses are growing. Yeah.
And the Canadians are just nicer. They're nice.
Yo, speaking of nice, man, you was on my Sisters and Them podcast, Blunt the podcast recently, man. I know they were talking sex and weed. How jumping are your DMs after being on their show, man? Like what was it like? Like,
I always get a lot of DMs.
Is it? Are they? They're not PG-13, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I always get a lot of DMs.
If y'all know Brittany and London show is
pretty raw.
Yeah, it's pretty raw.
It's pretty raw. I always get a lot of DMs, but me, I keep it. There's personal as professional. I keep it separate. My thing is just due to my background in healthcare, I'm able to hold an intellectual discussion about sex, about intimacy, about feeling, just without making people feel uncomfortable or sexualizing the sex. If that makes sense. But it was very interesting.
Yeah, it was, man.
Ladies, very interesting.
Yeah, because it was a room full of them too. I was like, bro, you about to walk into the jungle.
But I have a whole village of cool people around me, and it's like good to be around that energy though, because sometimes men, it's good to be around that feminine energy and get those input, to see their side of things.
Bro, I love London and Brittany, man. Like everything they do is dope to me. Yeah, it's big shout out to them, and I was glad they had you on the show. Cause I thought again you was gonna add a super dope dimension to what they do. I saw the live, so again, congratulations for that. And I'm sure your DMs were jumping. Don't pretend. Don't pretend. They was like, he's smart and all that, and he smoked weed. So I know you into kickboxing too, man. Congratulations, you moved up jiu-jitsu. My bad. Yeah, don't look at me and find what you could choke me with.
Nah. Good dude.
Speak to me about, man, because I know you just moved up a belt, man. Congratulations.
The journey's not over. So I actually found out about jiu-jitsu in like 1997, Hoist Gracie in UFC 2. You know, I used to watch it on VHS, and I always found out, like, wait a minute, the little bitty dudes can beat the big dudes by just breaking their ankles and choking them out. Like, this is cool.
That happens.
And then I got into the military, you know, hand-to-hand combat, and I got on the mats first time 2005, got off. And then when I got sick, doctors told me that I would never be able to do physical exercise again. You know, remember we did decrim in Atlanta? I was still on my cane. On the first episode,
remember
I was
this.
still wearing my hand brace.
I remember that, Stanley.
And
hand brace, Stanley.
You know, just through the cannabis oils and things, I felt my body getting stronger, so I got back on the mats. And so now I've been putting in the work. And so what I did was I had to take a technical test today in front of my instructors. They called out a lot of moves. I had to demonstrate them. And when I finished, they congratulated me and told me that if I don't die on Thursday, that I'll be awarded with a blue belt this coming weekend. So Thursday, I'm going to have to do what's known as the crucible. And it means I'm going to have to fight a new person every minute on the minute for 20 minutes.
Were you getting jumped into a gang?
Yeah, I mean, it's more...
Yeah,
it's more like a clan.
Yeah.
So what I've got to do is,
you Vita Loca?
If all y'all the white belts in my class, you know, I've got to defend myself against each and every one of y'all. So by the time
Nicole looking like, let's do it.
They're gonna tag in another person, then another person. White belts go for 20 minutes. Purple belts go for 30 minutes, brown belts for 45, and black belts you have to fight for an hour.
What are you smoking to keep your energy up?
I prefer hybrids.
Okay.
I like my sativas, but I do use my hybrids. And shout out to Georgia Hemp Company. Joe sent me some personalized oils. I had a GI flare up recently, kind of put me down. It really helps me out. So I take my oils, use my topicals for my shoulder that I injured, and I just smoke me a nice hybrid, man. Indica dominance, that's not really good for jiu-jitsu. You don't want to be all sluggish. But once you get in there and get it pumping, man, the cannabis makes me able to go harder. I smoke before I train. Shout out to High Rollers, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The rules are smoke, train, repeat. You know, you smoke. That's my pre-workout.
High Rollers, smoke, train, repeat.
Take the little energy stuff and stuff. I smoke, or I take me a dab or hit my pen or something, and then I go in there and get it in.
I feel you. Fuck gym tan lotion. I just smoke. Smoke, train, repeat.
People could come and watch.
In jiu-jitsu?
No, just shit you got in your white belt.
Herb want to watch you fight 20 people.
It's gonna be open to the public. I can find out though.
Herb wants to watch you fight 20 people.
Yeah, it's gonna be my teammates as well. Everybody else going for their blue belts. They're gonna have to fight as well. So it's gonna be fun, man.
So if it's open to the public, you gonna need to bring some chairs.
Pull up.
Because
so independent MMA.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow him, man. Pull up.
Yo, don't jump in either. Like if he's 20, he has to do it. He has to do it.
Bring it.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, bro.
Does it have to last 20 minutes? Like, I know you gotta move the inner nigga in a minute.
See, I'm going through. I've already got my game plan. So my instructor was like,
Just real quick, child.
Yeah, he was like, make sure you eat well. But we don't strike in jiu-jitsu. There's no striking.
Oh shit! So who's the winner?
This is maintaining.
That's the flip.
A position of dominance and finding a way to literally try to pull your body apart. You know, try to take your head off your body. Try to choke you to sleep.
My man say you got one thing just to end everybody. Like it's a video
I mean,
game.
I've got a couple of quick moves that if I start to get tired, I can
right?
just pull it out and just get it over. But I save that for when I get tired.
Oh, I'm in tears, buddy. I'm in tears. That's hilarious, man. You know what? And I know that you are also real fond of MMA. I know that you have love for MMA. MMA might be one of the. We might see MMA really go full on with the with CBD, with medical grade marijuana, allowing fighters, you know, to use. I really feel like that's down the pipeline, like soon. You feel the same way?
So to segue into that, I again want to say shout out to High Rollers Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because that has been the catalyst for a lot of that.
Okay.
So with MMA and CBD and cannabis and all that, the first controversial set of brothers was Nick and Nate Diaz.
Yes.
Shout out Nick, Nate, Matt. What's going on, guys?
Nate Diaz had no problem.
Nick Diaz was suspended from the UFC for like 5 or 10 years for smoking cannabis, and you got guys who are using steroids who get banned for a year. It was kind of like a personal shot at him, like because he smokes, but he trains naturally. Well, what happened was after his brother beat Conor McGregor. Yeah. Remember when he beat Conor McGregor and choked him out? At the press conference, his face is all beat up. He hit the CBD pen.
Yes.
And they're like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's CBD. It's good for recovery, anti-inflammatory."
Explained it to him.
Is beat up.
Yeah, explained it to him.
So what's happened is, I got reached out last year. They reached out to me like, "Hey man, we got this MMA event. It's going to be jiu-jitsu to where the opponents are going to smoke a pre-roll, and then they're going to fight. The winner of the tournament gets a pound."
Before the fight?
Oh yeah, so with High Roller, check it out, the episode. We do have an episode up on Vice. Yeah, I was on Vice. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
With High Roller, so what happens is you smoke a pre-roll with your opponent. You go into the ring, you fight. The winner comes out. You have to fight multiple times throughout the night, and the winner at the end of the night gets a pound from Burner. I met Burner. Yeah, Burner's.
Now, do you get money too, or we just get the pound?
Yes. So they're doing qualifiers. That's why I was in Miami last weekend, not this weekend, for High Rollers Miami. So the event got so big to where they're doing qualifiers now. We've got Vegas coming up next month. We've got New York, San Diego, Denver, Seattle, to where you're winning cash prizes. It's to qualify for the big one at the end of the year. So these other ones are open, qualifiers, and at the end of the year, that's the one where you come out and compete for a pound.
Solid, man. Well, I wish you much luck in all your endeavors, bro. You about to fight about 20 dudes, and I know
it's females too. We got females, some dangerous women.
You about to fight 20 people. Yeah. Come out. You got to come out with that move. You know, women don't care. Like just bow.
Man, let me tell you, a female jiu-jitsu fighter is one of the most dangerous women on the planet.
I believe that, bro.
On the planet.
Let me tell you something. My sister raised me to understand. She was like, as a man, you got more strength than me upper body. Like it's just gonna be natural. But my strength naturally is in my legs. Like I can kick you through a wall. Like those are her quote. I can kick you through a wall if I feel like it. So I can see if a female had her base right, caught you right here, she could throw you right through there, boy, real quick.
And it's gonna be the small person that does it to you too. It's gonna be that, like, I blew my shoulder out last year. I tore the AC joint, dislocated, and broke the scapula, throwing a dude that's about 120 pounds, like 5'2", the smallest guy in class. Bad technique on my behalf.
Oh, stuff you got to worry about, man. Well, Stanley, I appreciate you coming through tonight, man. Definitely helping us out with this conversation about legalization in the black market and giving us your 2 cents about the subject. And
to Sonny's discussion about mental health, that is another thing in jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you see the 22 a day, where people always talk about 22 a day, where 22 veterans a day commit suicide due to PTSD. And so Mission Defense started an organization where it's We Defy, and it's 22 a day. And so they do jiu-jitsu for PTSD, because oftentimes the toughest battles that a veteran fights, or a person going through something fights, is with themselves.
Facts.
And so they use jiu-jitsu to get it out. So I want to thank her again, Sonny, for bringing up the topic of mental health, because we have to continue to talk about that in our community.
Yes, factuals, man. Brother, I appreciate you coming through as always, man. I know you're going to kick it with us for a second.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Cash Color Cannabis, a high level of conversation.